The stars looked peaceful from the bridge of the Solace. Commander Rian Cade stood by the wide glass window, staring at the red glow of the dying Andros sun. The ship floated quietly between the planets, its engines humming softly like a sleeping giant. Every light, every reflection reminded him how far from home they truly were, almost 400 light-years away from Earth. Ryan was not a man of many words. Years of service had taught him to trust silence more than speeches. Yet even in silence, he always felt something human, something warm, pulsing beneath the steel walls of his ship. The mission had been simple at first. The crew of the Solace had been sent to study strange quantum echoes coming from the red star. The signals repeated patterns like voices, but with no language anyone could understand. Some thought they were natural energy bursts. Others believed they were signs of an ancient civilization. Ryan just wanted to know the truth. Among his crew was Dr. Ilara Wynn, a young scientist who worked in the ship's communication core. She had soft brown eyes that always seemed lost in thought, and a calmness that made even the harshest moments feel lighter. Unlike the others, Ilara did not look at data as numbers or equations. She listened to it like music. She believed emotion lived inside every signal. One evening, while most of the crew rested, Ilara called Rian to the communication deck. "Commander," she said quietly, adjusting her headset. "It's happening again." Ryan stepped beside her. The room was filled with faint sounds, like whispers made of electricity. Lines of blue light danced across the holographic screen. "They're repeating," Ilara continued, "but not randomly. The intervals follow a human heartbeat pattern." Ryan frowned. "Are you saying this signal is alive?" "I'm saying," she said softly, "it's trying to connect." But not through words. For a moment, both stood in silence, listening to the hum. It was gentle, almost rhythmic, a pulse in the static. It made Ryan's chest tighten, though he couldn't explain why. The next day, a storm hit the system. The dying red star flared violently, sending waves of radiation through space. Every ship in the fleet received the order to pull back, but the Solace was too deep in orbit to escape in time. "Shields at maximum," Ryan shouted. The ship trembled as waves of light struck its hull. "All hands, prepare for impact." The storm was blinding. Lightning tore through the void like fire. Panels exploded. Systems failed one after another. Through it all, Ilara remained at her station, typing quickly, trying to protect the communication core from overload. "Dr. Wynn," Ryan yelled through the comm. "Get out of there!" "No," she answered, her voice steady even as alarms screamed around her. "If I shut down the core, we lose everything, the echoes, the data, our link home." Ryan wanted to argue, but before he could, a massive shockwave hit. The lights went dark. Gravity failed. The ship drifted into silence. When Rian woke hours later, the emergency lights flickered weakly. Smoke filled the bridge. His head ached, but he was alive. He pushed himself up and called out, "Ilara, anyone?" Static answered him. He checked the crew logs. Some were alive, some injured, some missing. But Ilara's signal, her personal beacon, was faint, almost gone. Heart pounding, he forced open the door to the communication core. The air was thin, cold. Screens were shattered. Cables hung like vines. Ilara was nowhere to be seen. Only her headset lay on the floor beside a terminal still glowing faintly. Ryan picked it up. "Ilara, do you read me?" No reply. He activated the terminal. A low sound filled the room, that same rhythmic pulse. It played on repeat, soft and steady. Ryan froze. It was identical to a heartbeat. He ran diagnostics. The system showed that her biosignal had stopped an hour earlier. But the pattern in the communication core still showed faint life readings. Too faint for a body, too perfect for coincidence. Rian stared at the pulse. "You're still here, aren't you?" he whispered. The sound grew slightly louder, almost like an answer. For the next 2 days, Ryan refused to leave the communication deck. The engineers tried to fix the engines, but he stayed there, studying the signal. He watched every rhythm, every pause. The crew said it was just data echoing from damaged circuits. But Rian didn't believe that. He remembered what Ilara had said. "It's trying to connect." Now, he felt she was the one trying. He began recording the signal, comparing it to her medical profile. Her speech rhythm, even the way she typed. To his shock, the patterns matched perfectly. The signal wasn't random. It was personal. It was Ilara. The idea was impossible, yet it filled him with a strange kind of hope. By the third day, the ship was drifting toward the outer rim of the system. No response from the fleet. The red sun burned weaker now, turning the stars crimson. Ryan sat beside the main console, listening to the hum of the signal. "Why did you stay, Alara?" he murmured. "You could have escaped." "You didn't have to." The screen flickered. The pulse grew stronger for 3 beats, then softened again. Ryan smiled faintly. "That was you, wasn't it?" The pulse repeated, matching his words, almost like she was listening. He didn't know how it was possible. A human consciousness existing inside a data wave. But the thought no longer frightened him. It made him feel less alone. He closed his eyes and let the rhythm fill the silence. For the first time since the storm, he felt peace. That night, he dreamed of Earth, of oceans and blue skies. He saw Alara standing by the shore, her hair moving with the wind. She didn't speak. She only smiled and lifted her hand toward the horizon. When he woke, he realized the hum of the signal was playing the same pattern from his dream. Ryan stood, his heart racing. "You're showing me something, aren't you?" He checked the signal map. The pulse pointed toward a region of the system where no one had gone, a cluster of asteroids surrounded by glowing energy fields. He decided to follow it. The crew argued, saying it was suicide to go deeper into unstable space. But Ryan was the commander, and his voice was final. "If she's out there," he said firmly, "we find her." The journey took 12 hours. The ship shook with every maneuver. The energy field outside looked like silver lightning flowing through black mist. Inside the core, the heartbeat signal grew louder, more alive. When they reached the center, the sensors showed something incredible. A sphere of light floating above an asteroid, pulsing like a heart. The same rhythm as Alara's. Ryan stepped closer to the window, staring at it in awe. "Is that you?" he whispered. The light flared brightly, and for a second he swore he heard her voice, faint like a memory carried by the wind. "Ryan." The ship's systems went wild. Every screen flashed with data. Then silence. Total silence. Hours later, the energy field faded. The sphere of light vanished. The ship's power returned, but the signal was gone. The crew cheered, thinking they had escaped danger. But Ryan didn't celebrate. He sat alone in the darkened communication room, listening to the empty static. Then, out of nowhere, one soft pulse appeared on the screen, just one heartbeat, and Ryan smiled. Because in that single beat, he knew she was still there, waiting, watching, keeping her promise through silence. The days after the flare felt long and heavy aboard the Solace. The crew moved quietly through the metal halls, fixing broken systems and rationing power. Half the lights still flickered, and the engines whispered like something wounded. But what haunted the ship most was the silence. Commander Ryan Cade barely slept. He spent most of his hours in the communication core, staring at the single pulsing line that had once been Alara's heartbeat signal. Every time it blinked, hope stirred inside him. He didn't know if she was alive in some way, or if her final actions had simply left behind an echo. But it didn't matter. That faint rhythm made him believe she was still watching over them. The crew had started to whisper about him. "He's hearing ghosts," one of the engineers said. "He's just tired," another answered. But Ryan didn't care what they thought. To him, that small pulse was proof that humanity was capable of something beyond reason. On the 6th day after the flare, the ship's AI, Muse, reported something strange. "Commander," it said in a calm female voice, "I am detecting harmonic fluctuations in the communication field." "They align with your emotional state," Ryan frowned. "Explain." "When your heart rate increases," Muse continued, "the pulse signal changes frequency. It is reacting to you." He stared at the glowing wave on the screen. "Are you saying she's responding?" "I cannot confirm that, Commander. But the signal adjusts itself to your stress levels and speech rhythm. That is not random." Ryan leaned closer. His voice dropped to a whisper. "Alara, if that's really you, give me a sign." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the signal flared 3 times, just like it had the first time he called her name after the flare. 3 steady beats. His throat tightened. "That's you," he whispered. "You're still here." Later, Ryan went to the observation deck. He watched the dying red sun turning the stars into rivers of rust. His reflection looked tired, older than he remembered. He had lost people before in the long years of exploration. But this was different. This was love caught between worlds. He remembered the way Alara would hum quietly while running calculations, how she always believed data had emotion hidden within it. Now he wondered if she had somehow proved herself right. Perhaps her consciousness had merged with the ship's systems during the flare. Maybe that was why the heartbeat signal had not vanished. The crew tried to convince him to rest. "Commander, we need to focus on getting home," said Lieutenant Aaron, the ship's navigator. "We'll find Earth again," Ryan said softly. "But we can't leave her behind." "Sir, she's gone," Aaron argued. "You can't save someone who doesn't exist anymore." Ryan looked at him, his eyes sharp and steady. "You're wrong. She exists in every circuit of this ship. She saved us, and I won't abandon her now." No one argued after that. When he spoke like that, firm, filled with quiet conviction, they all remembered why they followed him. That night, Muse spoke again. "Commander, I have processed the pulse data. There is a hidden pattern within it, a secondary modulation that matches Dr. Wynn's speech cadence." Ryan's pulse quickened. "Play it." The AI translated the data into faint tones. Soft, rhythmic sounds filled the air. At first it was just noise, but then Ryan felt it. The tone wasn't random. It carried emotion. The rise and fall of the frequency felt warm, like comfort. It wasn't words. It was feeling. Ryan smiled faintly. "She's talking without sound." The next morning the ship trembled violently. The outer sensors picked up several incoming signatures. Pirates. In deep space, scavengers hunted damaged ships for scrap and tech. The Solace was an easy target. 4 vessels closing in, Muse reported. "They are armed." Ryan rushed to the command deck. "Battle stations!" The crew scrambled. The ship had only partial shields and 1 working cannon. The pirates hailed them. A cold voice filled the speakers. "This is Captain Drex of the Vulture's Maw. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in destruction." Ryan stayed calm. "This is Commander Cade of the Solace. We're a research vessel not worth your trouble." Drex laughed. "Your ship carries a quantum core. We want it. Hand it over, and maybe we'll leave you with air to breathe." Ryan muted the channel. "Suggestions?" he asked his officers. "Run," Aaron offered. "We can't," Ryan replied. "Engines at 40%. We wouldn't make it 10 kilometers." He turned to the console that showed Alara's pulse signal. It pulsed faster now, almost as if it sensed danger. He whispered, "Alara, what do we do?" The lights flickered. The AI's voice changed slightly, softer, more human. "Ryan," Muse said quietly, "there is a power surge building in the communication grid. It could be used to overload their sensors." "That's risky," Aaron said. "We could fry our systems completely." Ryan smiled faintly. "That's exactly what Alara would suggest." He nodded once. "Do it." The pirates fired first. Energy blasts hit the shields, shaking the ship. Sparks flew. Ryan held onto the console. "Now, Muse. Release the surge." A blinding wave of light burst from the Solace. It expanded outward like a shock of lightning, scattering across the pirate fleet. Their sensors overloaded instantly, their ships spinning out of control. "Direct hit," Muse reported. "Enemy systems disrupted." Ryan grinned. "Nice work, Alara," the crew cheered. For the first time in days, hope filled the air. But before they could celebrate further, the lights dimmed again. The surge had cost them dearly. The power core was unstable, and the ship drifted helplessly. In the following hours, Ryan tried to stabilize the systems. He worked until his hands trembled, but nothing helped. Then he heard the hum again, Ilara's pulse stronger than before. He looked up. "You saved us again, didn't you?" The pulse quickened like a heartbeat responding to joy. "Muse," he said, "record this pattern. Every change, every note." "As you wish," replied the AI. Ryan realized something new. The signal responded not just to his emotions but also to the ship's needs. When energy dropped, the pulse shifted to stabilize circuits. Alara wasn't only inside the communication grid, she was part of the Solace itself. Days passed. The ship floated through the quiet darkness, repairs slowly continuing. The crew began to speak more kindly of Alara. They stopped calling her a ghost. They started to call her the Guardian. Sometimes they heard soft hums through the walls like a woman humming a tune. It calmed them, gave them courage. Ryan would sit alone at night and talk to her. He told her stories of Earth, of oceans and sunsets. And every time the hum grew warmer, the light softer, it felt like she was listening. One evening, Ryan sat on the bridge watching stars drift by. He whispered, "Ilara, if you can hear me, thank you. You saved us all." The hum pulsed gently, then repeated his heartbeat exactly. He laughed quietly. "Always copying me, huh?" Then the AI spoke again, but the voice wasn't Muse's, it was softer, familiar. "Ryan," he froze. "Ilara?" The voice came again, faint and broken, as if spoken from far away. "Don't give up." The sound faded into static, Ryan's chest filled with both pain and wonder. She had spoken, not in words, but through the system itself. He whispered, "I won't. I promise." The next day, Ryan gathered the crew. He stood by the main console and said, "We have proof that Dr. Wynne still exists within the ship's systems. She has protected us more than once. From now on, our mission changes." "Changes how, sir?" Aaron asked. "We're going to finish what she started," Ryan said. "We'll follow the signal to wherever it leads. If there's a chance to bring her fully back or understand what she became, we take it." The crew looked uncertain, but one by one they nodded. Because in that silence they all felt something. Warmth, courage, humanity itself. That night, as the ship began to move again, Ryan stood at the window. The stars glowed softly around them. He closed his eyes and felt the vibration of the hum through the floor. Steady as a heartbeat, he whispered, "We're coming. Ilara, I can hear you." And deep in the ship's circuits, where light and energy met, the hum answered him in kind. Gentle, steady, alive human and machine, man and memory, still connected across silence. The weeks that followed were quiet but tense aboard the Solace. Ryan Cade and his crew followed the faint quantum heartbeat that had once belonged to Dr. Ilara Wynne. The signal guided them deeper into the Andros system, toward a nebula of swirling energy and shattered asteroids. Every readout confirmed one impossible truth. Ilara was still alive, not in the flesh but in the pulse of the ship itself. The crew had begun to accept it. Her presence wasn't frightening, it was comforting. In emergencies, they could feel subtle shifts in the ship's hum, the gentle vibration of a protective mind. The pulse sometimes slowed or quickened, almost like it was cheering them on. Ryan spent hours at the communication console. He had grown used to listening to her heartbeat through the speakers, feeling the rise and fall of her presence as though it were his own. Each time he closed his eyes, he could almost imagine her smiling beside him. He whispered, "Ilara, we're almost there. I can feel you." The hum pulsed back, steady and warm, as if she understood. The nebula was alive with energy. Crystals floated in the void, refracting the light of the dying star into patterns that danced across the ship's hull. The sensors reported intense gravitational fluctuations. Navigating it was a challenge even for Aaron, the ship's best pilot. "Commander," Aaron said, her hand steady on the controls. "We have turbulence ahead. If we miscalculate, we'll be crushed." Ryan didn't answer at first. He placed his hand on the console, letting the hum fill the room. He felt the rhythm shift slightly, guiding him. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but he knew it was her. "Trust her," he said finally. "Follow the pulse. She'll get us through." With that, the ship glided forward. The hum shifted with the ship's movement, rising and falling like a song. The crew could feel it too. A sense of direction, confidence, even hope. The impossible was happening. Ilara was guiding them without speaking a word. At the center of the nebula, they found the source. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. A sphere of pure energy hovering above an asteroid. The pulses of light matched Ilara's heartbeat exactly. It was alive, radiant, and beautiful. Ryan's breath caught. This is her. Muse, analyze it," he said. "Can she exist like this?" The AI's voice was calm. "The sphere contains an unprecedented quantum field. It is consistent with human neural patterns, amplified and stabilized by the ship's systems. Dr. Wynne is no longer biological. She has become a consciousness of energy." The crew was silent. The impossible had become reality. Ryan stepped closer to the viewing window. "Ilara, if you can hear me, I want to talk." The sphere pulsed brighter, sending waves of warm energy through the ship. A faint, almost musical sound filled the air, a sound they all recognized as her voice, not spoken in words but felt directly in their minds. "Ryan, You came, he smiled, feeling tears prick his eyes. I told you, I'd never leave you behind. The pulse shifted again, faster now, sending images and emotions directly to him. Memories of their time together, of the quiet moments in the lab, of the way she laughed while humming calculations. All of it flowed into his mind. The crew watched, amazed as Ryan communicated with the energy form. What do we do now? Aaron whispered. Rian glanced back. We bring her back with us. Or we stay here. Whatever she chooses, we follow. He turned his attention to the pulse. Alara, can you join us? Can you come back in a way we can touch? The energy sphere dimmed slightly, then brightened. The answer was clear. Her consciousness could stabilize in the ship's systems, but she could not return to a biological body. She had transcended her humanity. In a way, she had become something greater. Rian's heart clenched. He could have wept. Then I stay, he whispered. I'll stay with you. Together, we'll explore the stars. The crew exchanged uncertain glances. Remaining in the nebula would be dangerous. Supplies were limited, yet no one questioned his decision. Ryan had always followed the path of humanity, courage, and heart, and they would follow him once more. Weeks passed as the Solace moved deeper into uncharted space, guided by Ilara's pulse. The nebula stretched endlessly before them, full of energy fields and floating crystals. It was dangerous, yes, but the ship moved with confidence, almost as if the energy itself was alive. Ryan learned to communicate with her more clearly. By combining music, memory, and neural patterns, he could ask questions, receive responses, and even laugh together, not in words but in shared emotion. Sometimes, the crew would hear faint tones echoing through the halls, a gentle hum that made their hearts lighter, their minds sharper. They realized that humanity was not limited to flesh. Courage, love, and hope could exist even in the pulse of energy. One day, a strange phenomenon appeared on the sensors. A large, unknown vessel drifting toward them. Its energy signature was alien, unlike anything they had encountered. The crew went on high alert. Ryan didn't panic. He felt the pulse. Ilara's hum grew stronger, steady, protective. She wasn't afraid. We'll handle this together, he said quietly. Let's see what's out there. The alien ship moved closer. Its hull glowed with strange symbols. The sensors indicated no weapons, only observation. Through the pulse, Ryan felt reassurance. Ilara's consciousness guided him. They are not enemies, he said. They are curious. As they approached, the alien vessel sent a wave of light toward the Solace. The ship's AI struggled to interpret it, but Ryan understood. It was communication, a greeting. He smiled. Ilara, they can hear us. Let's show them what humans can do. Through her guidance, Ryan sent signals back. Musical, emotional, precise. The pulse responded to each alien wave, amplifying and translating human emotion into something universal. For the first time, they realized humans were unique not because of weapons or technology, but because of heart. Their capacity for empathy, courage, and connection had reached beyond biology. The aliens observed, responding with patterns of light and energy. Slowly, a conversation emerged, one not of words but of feeling. Humanity had spoken and the universe was listening. Months passed, and the Solace became a legend. Tales of a ship guided by a heartbeat and a woman who transcended. Life itself spread among the fleets of exploration. Rian never stopped learning from Ilara. She taught him that courage could survive even in the void, that love could exist without sight or sound, and that humanity was not just flesh and blood. It was heart, hope, and will. The crew, too, had changed. They respected the pulse, the hum, the unseen presence that protected them. They understood something deeper now. To be human was to leave traces of oneself beyond the physical, to create meaning in the silence, and to turn the impossible into reality. One evening, Ryan stood at the observation deck, staring at the stars stretching endlessly. He whispered, Ilara, wherever we go, we'll keep going. Together. The pulse flared gently in response. Warmth spread through the metal floor, wrapping around his feet like an embrace. He smiled, closing his eyes. For a moment he could almost see her, standing beside him, hair flowing in the cosmic winds, eyes bright and warm. I'm here, the pulse said. And I hear you, Ryan replied. Together, they moved forward deeper into the universe. A man guided by love, a woman existing as light. A partnership of human heart and infinite possibility. The nebula stretched on endlessly, full of danger and wonder. But with the pulse of life, hope, and courage between them, nothing could stop them. Humanity had reached beyond flesh. Humanity had become legend, and somewhere in the void a heartbeat, soft, steady, eternal, continued to sing.